Hi YouTube. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm so glad that I'm here today. Um, I I've been watching. For those of you who don't know me, because I'm not new to YouTube, but this kind of video is new. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Esdaille. Um, I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'm I've been on YouTube for 10 years. Um, I've been preaching Christian sermons for about 10 years, and I love music, and I love to talk about my faith and whatever. But today, I have something really kind of Christian and non-Christian to say. I don't know how I got on this YouTube track of talking about abortions, but I did. Now, disclaimer, I don't have kids, and I've never been through an abortion myself, or I have never made that description, but saying that, I've watched a whole bunch of videos and a whole bunch of talk from pro-lifers and abortionists and all of those people. And I've heard the debates on both sides. And let me say this. I don't like the labels that we give this. Like, it's either pro-life or pro-choice, as if the people that 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 choose abortions are not they don't believe in the life of children or whatever, and that's not true. But it's just for them. They don't, for whatever reason, they don't know where to turn. And in all of this talk I heard, most of it was quite good. I've heard from people who have been aborted, but their lives were spared. Or I've heard from people who've had abortions and they've talked about healing from them. Um, and but what I didn't hear, I heard a lot of talk about the unborn baby, the unborn child, and how we have to fight for the unborn, and that is true. But I believe first we have got to take care of the women, the mothers that this is affecting. And this video is to talk not so much about the unborn, not so much about forgiveness if you've had an abortion. All that is true and it's valid. It's true and it must be talked about. But nobody's talking to these hurting women. To get yourself in this circumstance, you have to be in a really dark place, a really devastating place, to even contemplate this decision, and to not take that into consideration is a grave disservice to people. So I want to take some time today to talk to these the women who may be pregnant or maybe just found out they were pregnant and may be considering terminating their pregnancy. First of all, I want to say to you, I am so heartbroken for you. I'm devastated for you, and I'm also praying for you. Um, it must be a really tough decision that you're in, and I I so want to right now put my arms around you and tell you that you are not your mistake. That's the first thing. You are not your mistake. You are loved by God. Your little life is loved by God. Both your life and the life of your child. And I want to tell you that you are you are still valuable to God. You are still precious to God. You still have a purpose. We're talking about this issue as if it's a moral issue and it's like an issue we need to speak for the unborn. Yes, we do. But we also need to take into consideration the mothers who who are making this devastating decision. And we need, and I want to say that I love you, and you do have a chance for hope. There is hope. Your life is not over. Your life is not over. The life of your unborn child is not over. I don't care where, um, like, how you found yourself in this situation. I know as someone who's um I'm I should say I'll tell you this. I should say I'm 36 years old and I've been a Christian all my life. And but from the age of 30 I've struggled with uh lust. I've struggled with all of that. I've struggled with like um sexual needs kind of overtaking you. I've struggled with all of that. And I said that just to say that I know how passion can overtake you. And it's only by the grace of God, glory be to God, that I am still a virgin. I'm still pure. I'm still, I should say, physically pure. Um, but emotionally, uh, that's another story. So I know how passions can overtake you. And especially if you're a young girl in high school, sometimes when you see everybody else having sex and they're saying, oh, it's great, you should try it. And sometimes if you're not having sex, it's so hard to resist, even with all the like, all the sex ed and everything like that. Uh, when when your parents can say anything that they want, but when you're you- you're with a guy that you find hot, or you're with a girl that you find pretty, or you're with a partner, passion can overtake you so easily. And I want to say that I understand that. I understand that totally. I understand how it can just, th- things can happen. And I also want to back up for people in their teens that may be thinking of sleeping with their boyfriend, or thinking of, nobody will know if I use a condom, or if I'm on birth control, I won't get pregnant, so it'll be okay and it'll keep my boyfriend happy. Or it'll get my friends off my back to lose my virginity. What I want to say to that is, there is no emotional condoms to protect you emotionally. Once you give away your virginity, it is very hard to get back. Now, it can be, no, you cannot get it back, but it can be restored. And there is forgiveness, there is restoration, there is all that. But if you haven't lost it yet, I would caution you that once it's gone, it is it takes a lot of work to restore the emotion that you give away. Because when you have sex with someone, you give away the most intimate part of yourself. And then emotionally, it is so hard to get that back. And if you have, there is forgiveness, there is restoration. God loves you, and he is just waiting to restore you. But if you haven't, keep it. Keep your virginity. It's sacred. It's valuable. Because what um what what I've come to understand is, for me, um the Lord said, um um the Lord's been speaking to me. I believe that God speaks to you in whispers. Some people call it a conscience. So when I say the Lord speaks to me, He doesn't do it out loud. It's often in whispers. And what He's spoken to me is, Rachel, not no, just not now. So it's not you can't have sex ever. It's not you're not gonna have sex ever. So like, you have to wait till you're old and gray. It's not. It's not no. It's just not now. And and because what happens is at the right time with your husband or your wife, it is explosive. And the reason why um, abstinence is the best way to go is because it is so explosive and so wonderful that God, and you are so valuable. Let me say this. You are so valuable that you ought to be treated like a queen. And if you're a man, you should be treating a girl like a queen. And so if he's treating you like a queen, he values you and treasures you. And if a guy doesn't treasure you, he doesn't deserve you. He doesn't deserve the most valuable part of you. And the Lord um, said to me when I was struggling, he said, not no, just not now. He said, not no, just not now, because it is such a sacred act and a fantastic feeling thing and a wonderful feeling thing that he doesn't want you to share it with everyone. He doesn't want you to share your body that he gave you with everyone. So that's why he said that. He didn't say no sex before marriage to punish you. He said no sex before marriage because it's so great and so explosive that and you're so valuable and he put so much in you that God doesn't want you to give away something that is so explosive to everyone. He just wants you to save that thing for the one person who who saw fit to date you, who saw fit to love you, who saw fit to get to know you, who saw fit to really um to really understand you as a woman and as a person. And it doesn't make you uh, a wuss if you wait until you're married. It makes you actually a winner. And in the church, sex has been either not talked about at all or talked about incorrectly. And that needs to change. First of all, God created sex. Let's get that going. Let's get that. And he created sex before the fall, before Adam and Eve ate the fruit. Sex was there. He said, Adam said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called woman. They were, and then a few verses down in Genesis, I think it's 3, they were naked and they were unashamed. So they had sex and then the fall happened. So the sexual act isn't dirty at all. It's wonderful, it's fantastic at the right time. But done at the wrong time, it can cause havoc. So if you haven't lost your virginity and you feel pressure, please rethink that. Because once it's gone, it's gone. It can be restored. And God can restore it. He's a restorer. And if you have lost your virginity, he's a restorer. He can restore it. But if you haven't, please reconsider. And any person who's saying, if you love me, you'll sleep with me, that's their hormones talking. That's their penis talking. That's their vagina talking. That's not their brain talking. And just No, it's just their body talking, and you can tell your body what to do. Trust me, it will be worth the wait. And I, at 36, am still waiting, and it is possible. And once once I do give my virginity to the man who God has ordained to be my husband, I will have no regrets. Um, I will be pure and able to give it all to him, uh, able to give it all to my husband, and I won't have any uh, what we call soul ties, which are basically sexual pictures and images. Um, because every time you sleep with someone, you take a part of that person with you. And that's what the media doesn't say. The media thinks sex is just a regular part of a relationship, and you can't have a relationship without having sex. But um, sex is not intimacy. Intimacy is into me, you see. And in true intimacy is where you let the person see into you, and you see into that person, and you talk with that person, and you share with that person your deepest deep fears, your deepest thoughts, your deepest desires. Intimacy has very little to do with vagina and penis. Intimacy is emotional and spiritual. Um, and the greatest thing about when you have intimacy and then you get married and you have sex, it's so much more powerful because it's the glue that bonds you. If you don't have intimacy and just have sex, it's just a physical thing. And um, this is this is what I've talked to with um, what I've come to on my own through prayer and through communication with God. And I believe that God can communicate with you. And but enough talking about sex. If you've had sex and now you are pregnant, I just want to say that I put my arms around you right now as a as a mom, as a mom to be, and as a grandma, and as anything, as everything. I put my arms around you, and I cry with you, and I pray with you, and I say that there is hope. It's not over. Your life is not over, and and you are still a woman of purpose, a woman of value, a woman of grace, a woman of virtue. You are still those things. Whatever you were before you got pregnant, you are that still. Just because you slept with a guy and got carried away doesn't mean that you're less valuable. It means that you made a mistake or uh, did something that wasn't a wise choice, and then you got pregnant. Even if you maybe did use protection, were on birth control and you forgot a pill one day, or you used a condom but it broke or it didn't work, you are still a woman of value. Sleeping with a guy, or, you know, making a mistake or rash decision or getting carried away doesn't make you a slut. It doesn't make you a slut. It makes you human. You made a mistake. Um, you made a bad choice. We all do. We all do. And one bad choice doesn't negate another. And I just want to say that that okay, you slept with a guy, you did whatever you did, and now you're pregnant. And now you may be um, debating, should I go with abortion, adoption? What should I do? Abortion seems simpler. Adoption seems simpler. Adoption seems more complicated, and I don't have any money. And and to keep the babies out of the question, I want to go to college. I want to have a life. And you may be wrestling with the decision, thinking that this may be easier, but but dear girl, it is not easier. Um, it seems easier because it seems physically to be the right answer, because it seems like the right decision, especially if you're young and you don't really want a child. It seems easy because you don't have to go through pregnancy, you don't have to do anything. But it is so, what they wouldn't tell you is it is so much more far reaching than that. Um, because the physical evidence may be gone in an hour, but the emotional evidence will stay with you, dear girl, for the rest of your life. And and another thing is, you don't know what that little soul will be. You don't know who that little soul will be. That little soul can grow up to cure cancer. That little soul can grow up to be the greatest person ever. That little soul can grow up to be uh, um, a physician that will make medical discoveries. That little soul can be a techie person who will just change the world. You never know who that little soul will be. And I've heard the debate that it's just cells and whatever. But once the sperm meets the egg, it starts dividing immediately, even before it slides down the fallopian tubes. Immediately, once the sperm hits the egg, the cells start dividing. The membranes um, tell the membranes start dividing, and the information about the baby's hair color and eye color um, goes starts developing. So you know that baby's gonna have brown hair and brown eyes, and you know that baby is going to be African American or Asian or Caucasian right from conception. Um, See, at conception, the baby is a seed, and give that little seed 9 months, and all being well, that little seed will grow into a little human being who will affect the world, who will do some wonderful things for the world. And don't rob the world of their possible miracle because you're you're stuck or you made a wrong decision. Make the choice to choose life. Make the choice to choose life. And your little one, your little seed has purpose. And by saying uh it's just a bunch of cells, it's not a baby, it doesn't matter. It's like saying, oh, I'm planting the seeds for this flower, but it won't grow into anything. It's just a seed. If we if we thought like that, we wouldn't have beautiful gardens. So basically, your baby from conception is a seed that just has to grow and mature to become a wonderful person with purpose, with a destiny. And you have purpose and a destiny as well. So I'm just saying that it is something to think about. And I'm sorry for all the pro-life debates who have put you down like you don't matter. Let's fight for the rights of the unborn. Yes, we need to, but we also need to take into consideration those mothers, and I'm giving those mothers that are making that awful decision. And if anyone is bullying you, like your mother and maybe the father of the children, saying, child saying, you need to terminate this pregnancy and blah, blah, blah. Beloved, it's your body. You know the right thing to do. And you don't know if that little seed will grow into a person who will cure cancer. I remember hearing a story. Um, I love music, and I've always loved music. And I remember hearing a story of of one of my favorite gospel musicians, Fred Hammond. Um, his mother had a DNC done to abort him, and it didn't work. And then when it didn't work, she had the baby, and if you look up Fred Hammond on YouTube, he has one of the most illustrious gospel careers ever. And I just think of what would the world be like without Fred Hammond? And there are so many stories. Uh, there's another story of people. There's another story of a preacher I used to watch. His mother was raped and was suggested an abortion, and he his mother said no, and this man has a worldwide ministry that is saving lives and whatever, and feeding people around the world and doing all this stuff. And I'll say, what would have happened if both Fred Hammond's mother and James Robinson's mother had said, "Oh, I will just have to terminate the pregnancy." See, you never know what that seed will grow to be, who that child will turn to be. That child can cure cancer. That child uh, can change the world. Make a choice. I'm going to tell you my personal story. Um, I was born in 1984, and in the 80s, um, it was kind of um, a hard thing to have a disability. But my mother, the day I was born, was 6 months pregnant, and she slipped on a tennis racket in the middle of the kitchen floor. And they rushed her to the hospital, and I was still okay. I was moving, I was walking, I was doing whatever. And when my mother went into labor, um, the doctor left, and when the doctor left, the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck and cut off the oxygen to my brain. So my parents took me home, but at about one or one or one at about 1.5, they realized I wasn't walking. Oh, and the doctor said if we hadn't have gotten the baby out, both you and the baby would have died. So fast forward. So my parents figured out that I wasn't walking, and they called the hospital, and it turned out that I had CP, which is cerebral palsy, where the cord wraps around the neck and cuts off the oxygen to the brain. Now, CP has a lot of different manifestations. For me, CP can go from the person is totally in a vegetative state to the person is walking, you can hardly tell that they have CP. Well, I'm kind of in the middle. I can talk clearly. I can, I can think clearly. I can do all that. My mental faculties are all there, and but I can't dress myself. I can't do all the physical stuff of daily life. So I have people that help me dress myself, brush my teeth, do all of that. But I have my bachelor's of religious education and all that. Now, I said all that to say, let me tell you about my sister, Michelle. I have a sister that was born right after me. and my mom, and they suggested, because I was such high care, they didn't suggest an abortion for me because it was too late, but because I was such high care, they suggested an abortion for my sister. And my mom said no, so they had to put me in a special hospital until Michelle was older, because I because it was too hard for my mom to care for a baby and a special needs child. But with my sister, um, uh, they suggested to my mom, "Oh, why don't you have an abortion?" And my mom said no. And I could not imagine the world without my sister. Today, she's a real estate agent. She's actually got her own businesses and doing all this kind of stuff. So, if my mom had have taken the doctor's advice, people people wouldn't be getting houses today, or or benefiting from her life and from her business today. So take careful take careful thought before you think of abortion, because although adoption or keeping your baby is seems like a lot more work, but you will be giving the world a miracle that you wouldn't even know um, the the reach of. You wouldn't know what that child would do with the right parents, or with the right raising if you decide to keep your baby. I hope my talk uh, helped you today. Um, Leave a comment if you see this, and if you want to just, you know, say how if you want to just talk, or you don't know what to do, or you may not even know what this Christian thing is about, and be curious about it. So, with whatever you do, I hope you make the decision to choose life, because you will be giving the world a miracle. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to my Loveagram. I love you, and I'm praying for you and your unborn child. Take care, guys.